Hip Hop Marvels Podcast. Boy Dub Floyd here at the Lo-Fi Lounge. You know what I'm saying? And we're chilling here with none other, you know what I'm saying, than you know, co-creator of Controllerize, which I would say this is inspired by, definitely. You know, this event we're here at right now is inspired by. But we're chilling here with none other than Blkcubes. What's going on, brother?
Yo, what's going on, man? You doing all right tonight?
Man, definitely, most definitely, man. Your set was crazy. I just, got finished, telling you we've been talking a lot off camera, you know what I mean? Like-minded, folk, and man, I just really enjoyed your set. I noticed you use a lot of soul samples in your sets. Explain to me, like, the inspiration behind that, like what, did you grow up listening to a lot of soul, R&B,
Okay, so little short, quick, like history. I was adopted, right? So like as I grew up, my mother, like my adoptive mother, that's my mom. There ain't no question about it. That's my mom. But like when I would see our family like fully come together, it would be like cookouts and shit. And we were blasting the soul during the fish fry. So like it was the like unification that I remember, like back in the ancient parts of my mind. Like I don't even know if I know it in the forefront of my mind, but it's like deep in the mind. I feel like very connected to soul music as far as like finding comfort and like building community around that shit.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we all, especially in the black community, especially, people of melanin, people, in the black community, we all grown up around, family that, whether, like you said, whether it be a fish fry, they playing cards, one day, that one night, you know what I'm saying, dominoes, spade game going on, and that was the backdrop. That was the soundtrack, you know what I'm saying? So that's ingrained in a lot of us, coming up, in our youth. Explain to me the genesis of Controllerize, because that's a dope event. Like, we talked about off camera. It's like I said before, it's kind of 6 degrees separation. I know a lot of folks that participated, in things like that. So explain to me how that came about.
Okay. So I guess it could be for myself personal, because I feel like there are two origin stories for how they converge to create Controllerize. You have drums and then you have myself. For myself, man, it's a working man's dream. I had been trying to build community for so long, but building community was hard because existing in a space, you have to have fucking money, you have to have funds, you have to have like the ability to like build a structure that can house people. So I'm working a 9 to 5, and I'm like, man, I keep having this dream, this same idea of like building this space for producers, because I was very much so into controllerism, which is using MPCs, SP404s, things to like produce your music out of and perform. So I'm like, man, I've got to find a way to build around this shit. And it's just like racking my brain. So one day I was like, man, I had enough of this. I'm going to book all my homies and I'm going to rent a venue space. Hit up somebody. They gave me a venue space for $100. I was like amazed. I booked all the homies and I put the set together and I was like, man, this shit is about to be fire. Didn't have a name for it. It wasn't shit. It was just like, I'm booking the homies. And I'm scrolling on Facebook one day, man. And I see this guy, he's on live stream, and he's making beats and shit. He's got locks, and he's like, wow. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I was like, damn, man, I wish we had shit like that in Atlanta. Obviously, he's in Cali. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. And somebody's like, shout out Atlanta in the comment feed, right? So he responds like, yo, bro, I'm out here in Atlanta, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like instantly like, hell nah. So I'm in his DMs like less than 2 fucking minutes later. And I'm like, yo, bro, I have this great idea. I'm trying to do this thing. How can we build upon it? Little did I know the genius that this man had already been doing, and like the resources and understanding assets that this man had to come, to bring to the table. That was Stolen Drums, by the way. Yo, he hit me back and was like, yo, I'm interested. What's up? Let's meet at this. We went to a small Korean tea house, and like an hour and 30 minutes, man, we just slapped ideas together and built this thing, right? And from that, after throwing the first event, we were like, wow, this needs to be consistent because people enjoyed this. This frees myself and is like, how can we do it? And like everything else is history. Like past that point, man.
That's what's up, man. That's a hell of a story. Yeah, man. Yeah, shout out. Like I said, shout out to Controllerize, everybody there. You know, yourself. So I guess what I want to say, like, what you know, given from, because you're from Atlanta, right? Okay, so has your surroundings influenced any of your work?
Absolutely. I would say me as a person, like, I was kind of faced with a situation where it's like either you choose like joining the fucking kicking door boys, or you choose artistic like outlet, and somehow graffiti landed in my lap. And that was kind of like the breakout. So I started to learn the culture of Atlanta that wasn't like forward facing, like it wasn't the like trap music or the most famous artists, but there were so many like aspects of Atlanta that helped me grow from the underground scene, which is why this event is so fire and so important. Because anytime you have a chance to cultivate the underground, there's so many people who don't have access to the $25 event, who don't have access to the like way across town event, but they can pull up on your doorstep and learn. And the underground of Atlanta fucking taught me, like, you know, soul music came into that same aspect, because there are a lot of things like Speakeasy Productions, shout out to them, were kind of like a forward place for things like Controllerize for Atlanta. There was an event called Free Acid, and it would happen like relatively often, but it was the most left field leaning music you could hear in Atlanta. It was crazy producers, and every so often they would actually give out free acid and shit to the crowd too. So it was a crazy experience, bro. So like it's things like that shaped my understanding of like who I am and connected with Atlanta. And of course, you know, it's still trap, we still bumping nudie and shit, but it's like a well-rounded individual, you know?
Right, most definitely. So with that said, like, you know, there's many genres now that when, you know, in the year 2022, there's many genres in hip hop now than it was in the past. How important is lo-fi hip hop to you?
Shit, man. Okay, so one, I want to touch on the fact that you said genres in hip hop. I feel like all other sound groups get to fucking have subgenres. Like you got fucking punk rock, you got, you know, hash rock, you got like jam bands. Like hip hop doesn't get to have that shit. We have like experimental hip hop and hip hop, or true school, old school. Like it's not very defining. But the issue that I have with using lo-fi as a moniker, and this is personal, this isn't to the world or anything, but I think lo-fi is kind of a gentrified term to describe a sector of hip-hop that's been going on for years. But the problem is we didn't come up with a name for this shit. So because we didn't come up with a name, lo-fi fucking slid in and just became the thing. So how I feel about lo-fi hip-hop, man, I'm thankful for instrumental producers. I'm thankful for the fact that instrumental producers get to fucking make music and be known as a artist on their own platform as a musical artist. So that's just fire. But lo-fi it's an interesting term, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, I grew to not like the term like neo soul. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of the same thing. So, you know, I definitely get where you're coming from with that. You know,
fire also, like, no, I agree with you 1,000%. It's like calling it neo soul is like, damn, but the fucking genre itself is crazy. It slaps.
Right, most definitely. So, you know, we talked about Marvel, you know, off mic and everything. So, what character? It could be a superhero, supervillain. It could be an anti-hero. Which character do you feel your style is most like?
Damn. I wish I had a more thought out answer, but what I'm gonna give you right now is like the thing that kind of shook my world the most recent, like in the last 3 years, bro. The Batman that laughs fucked my whole career up. When I read that, I was like, wow, this man is shaking the fucking game up. And I feel like on some subatomic level, I'm not a noisemaker, man. I'm usually chill in the fucking back of the crowd. But in my DNA, I'm rowdy, I'm noisy, and I seek to break up the norm. So if you haven't read Batman Who Laughs, anybody who's listening to this, go check that shit out. You'll be like, what the fuck?
That's right. We have a DC plug, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. You know, lastly, it's a question I was going to ask you before, right? Okay, so, you know, there's 6 infinity gems in the gauntlet, right? Right, there's 6.
Okay.
Right?
Name them all for me so I can be.
Right. Well, there's soul, time, space, mind. I'm drawing a blank. I know them all, but check this out, right? So there's 6 infinity stones in the gauntlet. There's 4 elements to hip hop, right? What 2 more elements would you add to hip hop's infinity gauntlet?
Man, okay, I got you. So I'm gonna try to shorten this long-winded ass answer as much as possible because I came from the era where we didn't have OGs to teach us about hip hop. So I went to the internet, I went to the cassette tapes, I went to the VHS, I went to Beat Street, pause, play, rewind, pause, play, listen millions of times. And what I discovered is that the 4 elements of hip hop, those just the most famous. There's so many pillars that hold those up. So for instance, we got graffiti, right? Who the fuck do you think designed the flyer for the party? Is the graffiti artist. Okay, so you got the Breakers, right? But the Breakers was also known because they was fucking styling. Their style of how they dress set the tone for the vibe. The elements of hip hop, what would I add? I would add soul and mind to the joint because ultimately that's what hip hop is the soul and the mind and where they clash because it's the physical and the spiritual and how they meet on this fucking plane and we flip shit. Hip hop. Yo, it's like, easiest example I got for you. The word dope. It fucking destroyed communities. Dope was a drug that was ruining people's lives. Yet people decided to take that negative shit and flip it in a way that's like, yo, your style is dope. That's hip hop. That's the soul and mind gem.
Soul and mind, Jim. There you have it. So, you know, where can people find you? Where can they get, you know, any of your upcoming projects, or, you know, when's the next Controller Rise? Like, just let you know, let the masses know.
Yo, okay, so at this point, man, the next Controller Rise, we'll keep y'all, you know, just stay in the loop, man, because right now we exist in your heart, and that's the most important place to, like, keep this shit alive. We're not dead, for sure. You can find me personally at Blkcubes on Instagram. Other than that, man, you hit me up and I'll introduce you to my music. I'm not out here to hustle my music. I'm not out here to hustle my sound. I do enjoy making music, and that's no, like, slight against people who are hustling, because that's necessary. I honestly don't consider myself a musician, man. I consider myself a loop artist, man. I have a bad memory, so I collect my fucking memories in the music that I make, so it's hella personal. But if you want to share some of that shit, hit me up personally. We can contact, you know, build some friendship, and, you know, I'll share with you, man. Thank you for your time.
That's what's up, man. There you have it, man. You know, Blkcubes, you know, co-founder Controller Rise. He just killed this set. You know what I mean? Just killed this set, and you know, the headliner, and yeah, man, gotta put that out there, man. I appreciate your time, brother.